The gap between Android tablets and laptops keeps getting smaller every single year, and 2026 really proves that. We now have tablets with desktop-like interfaces, flagship cooling systems, high-end speakers, and displays that honestly look incredible for movies, gaming, or productivity. So if you're looking for a premium Android tablet this year, here are 5 of the best options worth. Lenovo Yoga Tab Plus. Let's start with a Yoga Tab Plus, which is truly one of the more intriguing Android tablets of 2026, as Lenovo now appears to be much more serious about producing a tablet that can handle productivity rather than just leisure. Additionally, the whole value bundle is what instantly sets this device apart. Lenovo already comes with a keyboard and stylus in a number of areas. Many high-end competitors still charge extra for these items. Additionally, the design appears appropriately high-end. It has a thin aluminium body that feels sturdy and long-lasting, while just being about 6.6 millimeters thick. Although it's not particularly light, it weighs about 640 grams, it's still manageable for taking notes, streaming content, and traveling to work and school. It also has IP53 protection against dust and mild water splashes, and the glossy camera accent on the rear gives it a more contemporary appearance. Lenovo has a 12.7-inch 3K LTP SLCD PureSight Pro display with a refresh rate of 144 Hz on the front. Despite not being OLED, its 100% DCI-P3 color coverage, Dolby Vision compatibility, and brightness of about 900 nits give it a flagship-level appearance. With up to 16 GB of RAM and 512 GB of UFS 4.0 storage, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 offers exceptionally powerful performance. A 10,200 mAh battery with 45-watt charging, 6 Harman Kardon speakers with Dolby Atmos, and USB-C 3.2 with DisplayPort output are also included. The 512GB variant costs between $850 and $900 in the US market, while the 256GB model starts at about $770. Now, if Lenovo focuses heavily on overall value and bundled accessories, Xiaomi takes a slightly different direction. Xiaomi Pad 8 Pro. One of the Android tablets that will significantly increase competition in the premium market in 2026 is the Pad 8 Pro. Xiaomi is now attempting to develop an experience that is more akin to using a lightweight laptop, particularly for multitasking and productivity, rather than just focusing on performance. The tablet's entire metal unibody construction, which is remarkably thin at only 5.75 millimeters, keeps things simple and contemporary in terms of design. Additionally, it weighs only 485 grams, making it comfortable for portable use whether you're reading documents, working remotely, drawing, or just viewing movies for extended periods of time. Compared to standard Android tablets, it also has a somewhat more sophisticated appearance, thanks to the available colors, which include gray, blue, and pine green. One of the main attractions here is undoubtedly the display. The 11.2-inch 3.2K IPS LCD screen, used by Xiaomi, has an incredibly smooth refresh rate of 144 Hz. Because it provides additional vertical room for documents, multitasking, and split-screen applications, the 3:2 aspect ratio also seems more sensible for productivity. It has a brightness of about 800 nits and supports Dolby Vision, HDR10, HDR Vivid, and even up to 68 billion colors. For those who don't like reflections, there is even a matte glass option. The 3-nanometer-based Snapdragon 8 Elite, along with UFS 4.1 storage and LPDDR5X RAM, powers performance. Additionally, Xiaomi offers Workstation Mode, which provides the UI with a desktop-style layout for more intense multitasking. The 9,200 mAh battery may be charged at 67 watts or 22.5 watts in reverse. The 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage model costs between $480 and $530, while the 12 GB of RAM and 512 GB of storage variant costs about $798 worldwide. But if you care more about ultra-thin design and a stronger multimedia experience, Honor is going in a very different direction with the MagicPad 4. Honor MagicPad 4. One of those Android tablets that instantly gives the impression that Honor is targeting the high-end flagship market is the MagicPad 4. It's evident from the overall specs that this tablet isn't attempting to compete solely on pricing. Rather, Honor appears to be concentrated on providing a superior multimedia and productivity experience from nearly every perspective. The design is unquestionably the first thing that catches the eye. Considering the hardware inside, this tablet is really thinner than a number of current iPad Pro versions, measuring only about 4.8 millimeters in thickness. It weighs about 450 grams and has an aluminium unibody chassis with a matte finish that appears sleek and contemporary. Here, display quality is still another important feature. With a 12.3-inch 3K OLED display with refresh rates as high as 165 Hz, Honor has finally brought back an OLED panel. This implies that animations, games, and scrolling should all seem incredibly fluid. HDR brightness can reach about 2,400 nits, which makes Dolby Vision and HDR video appear much more vivid in bright or outdoor settings. In order to lessen eye strain after prolonged use, Honor also has 5,280 Hz PWM dimming. With the Snapdragon 8 Gen 5's massive vapor chamber cooling mechanism, multitasking and intensive workloads should be manageable. Honor also includes a PC mode with desktop-style multitasking and floating windows. Thanks to the 8-speaker IMAX enhanced system, audio is yet another excellent aspect. With 66-watt rapid charging, the battery has a capacity of 10,100 mAh. Globally, the 256GB model starts around £599.99, while the 512GB version sits near £699.99. Now, speaking of productivity, OnePlus is also pushing much harder into the premium tablet space lately, and the OnePlus Pad 3 feels like a much bigger jump compared to the previous generation. OnePlus Pad 3. OnePlus appears to be fully dedicated to the premium tablet market, which makes the OnePlus Pad 3 one of the most intriguing flagship Android tablets of 2025 and 2026. The improvements feel far more ambitious than the previous generation, particularly in terms of general performance, multitasking capabilities, and display size. With a thin aluminium unibody construction that looks tidy without going overboard, the design remains quite simple. Despite having a large 13.2-inch screen, the tablet is only about 5.97 millimeters thick. It weighs about 675 grams, which is noticeable, but yet reasonable given its total size. In order to make the back appear cleaner overall, OnePlus also repositioned the camera this time, placing it into the corner rather than utilizing the massive centered module from the previous iteration. One of the main selling features is the display itself. The 13.2-inch LTPS LCD panel used by OnePlus has variable refresh rates of up to 144 Hz and a crisp 3.4K resolution. Additionally, compared to conventional widescreen tablets, the 7:5 aspect ratio feels more comfortable for browsing, multitasking, and productivity. Thanks to 12-bit color support, 98% DCI-P3 coverage, and brightness that can reach about 900 nits under some circumstances, the visual quality feels premium even though it isn't OLED. The tablet's Snapdragon 8 Elite processor powers its 512GB UFS 4.0 storage and up to 16GB LPDDR5T RAM. Additionally, OnePlus has Open Canvas multitasking, which enables 3 apps to run concurrently with more seamless window transitions. The tablet has an enormous 12,140 mAh battery, 8 holographic speakers, and 80-watt Super VOOC charging. OnePlus presently charges about $700 for the 16GB of RAM, 512GB of storage model. And finally, if you want the most extreme Android tablet experience right now, especially for multitasking, ecosystem features, and sheer screen size, Samsung is still pushing very hard with the Galaxy Tab S11 Ultra. Samsung Galaxy Tab S11 Ultra. In all honesty, the Galaxy Tab S11 Ultra feels less like a conventional Android tablet and more like an attempt by Samsung to provide a complete laptop substitute for those who prioritize touchscreens. Additionally, this generation goes even farther in terms of productivity tools, AI features, and design than the previous one. Just the hardware has a very high-end appearance. The tablet is just about 5.1 millimeters thick despite having a large display, and Samsung's more recent Armor aluminium design keeps the body feeling sturdy. The weight is approximately 690 grams, which is still acceptable given the size. The IP68 classification for dust and water resistance, which is still shockingly uncommon in the flagship Android tablet market, is one significant benefit. Clearly, one of the main attractions is the presentation. Samsung uses a large 14.6-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X screen with a high-resolution 3K pixel resolution and a 120 Hz refresh rate. Brightness can reach about 1,600 nits, colors should appear extraordinarily deep, and contrast is still superb. Additionally, Samsung incorporates a more recent anti-reflection coating that greatly lessens glare when used outside or in bright lights. The 3nm MediaTek Dimensity 9400 Plus, Samsung's most recent One UI software, and up to 7 years of software support power performance. Thanks to Google Gemini integration, Samsung DeX, multi-workspace compatibility, and Galaxy AI technologies, productivity features on Android continue to be among the best. The bundle also includes the more recent S Pen. With 45-watt charging, the battery has a capacity of 11,600 mAh. The 12 GB of RAM 256 GB model costs about $1,200, while the 16 GB of RAM and 1 TB of storage device costs about $1,500.